Good morning. I'll leave that in the shot. Why not? Morning, good morning. Done. 1 minute to go. Okay. IPL. Thank you for the raid, IPL. The awkward head on the back. Everybody that was a part of the IPL podcast, SAC podcast, I guess I should say, welcome in. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or a VOD, Twitch or YouTube, or Spotify, while you are celebrating the Dallas Cowboys being eliminated from the playoffs, having your soul ripped apart by a carbon roller in low ink, throwing in Genesis 9 by using Dr. Mario. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. The whole mango thing with Genesis is weird. I don't really know what's going on there. I don't know if Mango was just upset about the ranking that they got or what. But I will say this. I want to look more into it, but just initially, at the end of last year, Mango made this big speech about how, Melee is going to be around forever. The fame, the glory, the money, none of that stuff matters. It's all about playing behind a gas station for $20. It's like, okay, that sounds great. That's a good talking point. But it's easy to say that when you're sitting at the top. And now that whatever happened at Genesis, and now you're just using Dr. Mario and you're getting eliminated way early, and you're saying things like enjoy Melee without Mango. It's like, okay, that kind of takes a little bit away from that rousing speech that you gave when you won that other tournament in December, but whatever. That's something for a different podcast to look at, I guess. News of tournaments may be of interest to the casual listeners of the Popcast. It is SAC week. SAC number 2. Qualifier number 2 is going to take place this Saturday. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe I just now learned about this. Is Minnow Cup going on this Saturday as well? This weekend as well? I just got pinged for a possible commentary spot for it, and it doesn't say what the day is. So I don't know when Minnow Cup is. It's on the 5th. So what is that, a Sunday? Dodging SAC. Okay, so SAC is on the 5th or on the 4th. Minnow Cup is on the 5th. If you are listening to this and you were eligible for Low Ink and you didn't win Low Ink yesterday, more likely than not, you are eligible for Minnow Cup. Make sure you sign up for it. I believe it is Tower Control this time around. Proving Grounds is this week as well. It's a Friday. If you are somebody who played in Low Ink, you are also eligible to play in Proving Grounds. But just know, straight from the head TO's mouth to your face, I don't want you playing in this tournament. If you do, I'm going to make sure you have the least amount of fun you could possibly have. Unless you're inking the system, in which case you just use it to farm results. So there you go. Also, shout out to Dapple Productions, who's going to be having I had PP here. I always call it Proving Prowns, I guess. I don't know. Paddling Pool number 200. I believe that's not this week. I think this week is 199. And then next week is Proving Grounds number 200. Congratulations to them. I think most of you NA folks should be either at work or at school during that time, but 200 tournaments of any Splatoon tournament. They must hold the record for most tournaments in all of competitive Splatoon from 1 to where we are now. So a preemptive congratulations to them for that, but that is going to be next week. Proving Grounds Friday, SAC Saturday, Minnow Cup on Monday or Sunday. Also, I believe this is Ludi Makeup Week. That's right. It is Makeup Week for Ludi, and next week is going to be the playoffs. Somebody on one of my the YouTube VODs, made a comment of if I was going to do a playoff preview, and there'll probably won't be a whole heck of a lot to talk about next week, so I might just do that. I might just do a playoff preview for Ludi and see how horrible my original regular season preview was and see if I can butcher it even more with some playoff stuff. I am assuming everybody's supposed to have their playoff stuff done by Sunday night. But we all know how DivX lasted last season. So this could just be the beginning of a 5-month-long playoff period for some of the teams that are going in here. But we'll sit down. We'll talk about it. That'll be a cool thing to do. Today, however, we are going to be recapping Low Inc. The whole kit and caboodle. All of it. Swiss, Epsilon, Delta, Gamma, Beta, Alpha, Top 32. All the nonsense on Twitter. Everything in between. I don't know what the next bracket is that comes after Epsilon. If we ever get to that point, one of you idiots in chat gets to become the new head TO for Low Inc. because I'm out at that point. At that point, we're going to force you guys to sign up in Little Squid League. Nobody's allowed to play in Low Inc. unless you are either banned from Little Squid League or you have played in, well, maybe you got to play at least one Little Squid League. If we get that many teams, we're going to force you guys to play in other tournaments. How about that? In before we just push off 100 sus teams to Little Squid League and let them do the farm. We make them like our farming verification system. This, the more I say that out loud, the more I kind of like this idea. Make it easier for us. Put more work for other people to do. It's more content for you guys. Trust us. But first, on the Low Inc. preview episode of the Popcast, episode 157, that debuted on Friday, which I know all of you watched, I talked about how I wasn't sweating this Low Inc. How even though there was a crap ton of teams that had signed up for it, it was going to be a massive tournament, I wasn't going into this one feeling stressed out, or I wasn't losing sleep, or I wasn't worried that this tournament wasn't going to meet my personal expectations of what I would like Low Inc. to look like. It was going to be a smooth time going all the way through it. Do I think this was a smooth tournament after sitting through the entire weekend, TOing both days, commentating what seemed like forever on yesterday? Do I still feel like this was a cakewalk tournament? Yes, I do. I 100% think this was a smooth, easy tournament to go through. And I talked about this on Friday, and it rings through here. Yes, there were some new issues that we saw this past weekend, but we're so used to seeing so many new things and coming up with solutions quickly and just pulling things out of our ass that somehow seem to work, that we know how to deal with all of those things, even if they're brand new. We had to give out a tie for the first time ever. We went into a set. It was 35 minutes. We said, you guys don't have time to play game 3. What caused the delay? Look through the chat, listen to both teams. It was pretty obvious there's nobody at fault. The game just sucks and nobody could get into the lobbies quickly enough. So just handed out a tie for the first time ever. I have no idea how long that's going to, if that'll ever happen again or what. That was just a bizarre situation, but keep the tournament moving along. Time is very important. We can't sit around and let everybody just stare at each other and figure out who's supposed to win game 3. Got through that. You had we had a player who played Anarchy Open, disconnected, and received a 15-minute timeout from Nintendo in the middle of the sets. So a team had to scramble and try to find a sub for that round because their player could not play the entire time, which I didn't realize. If you got banned, if you got like the timeout, are you not allowed to even do private battle on top of that? I figured you'd still be allowed to go through private battle. Like, why would Nintendo care about that? It's a local thing. Why would they ban you from private battle as well? But just a case number 57 of why you should never play solo queue during a tournament. There it is right now. What if you accidentally disconnect and then you get banned from the tournament? Nintendo banned somebody for a round from our tournament. That is a first. That is a first. But, I mean, why do you guys play solo during the tournament? I don't understand. Do you need to stay warm 24/7? Like, if you just put your controller down for like 10 minutes, are you going to suddenly suck or something? This game lets you warm up while you wait for people to join the lobby. You couldn't do that in Splatoon 2. There's literally no reason to play Anarchy Open during a tournament other than just to burn yourself out quicker and to drain yourself quicker so that you're more brain dead in rounds 5 and 6. Getting off tangent. Let's get back on here. Yes, new issues. There's always going to be new issues with Low Ink that always make us go, all right, what's the JPEG School of TOing handbook tell us to do in this situation? We just kind of figure things out, and I feel like we did a good job of that. Issues that are not new, though. Something that happens every single Low Ink, whether we talk about it or not, happened in full force this Low Ink here. No matter what happens in a Low Ink, there are always going to be a lot of people that are going to question the eligibility of everybody else, regardless of what happens. And you see it in Twitch chat all the time. They let that team in? What? That player's in? That player used to be a part of this thing back in the... I saw that player in solo queue. They got 2,900 on that. They let them in, but they didn't let that other guy in? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we totally... Just fudge the bucket there and just let that in. You see that all the time in Twitch chat. You see it all the time on Twitter, especially after Saturday. It's nothing new. I see it a lot, and I never comment on those things. I just let them happen. It's fine. It's not a big deal because I know our verification team did their work, did their research, and we don't have to sit here and explain literally 1,000 players. Here's why player number 637 is eligible and why we kicked out. Yeah, exactly the people who saw Twig and they like Twig in here. What the heck are they doing? Like there's actually 2 different Twigs that play in Low Ink, and ain't one of them 3,000 with a gal. Okay, it's fine. Trust us. We kind of know what we're doing. But I did happen to come across a few tweets because there are a lot of new teams that popped off, that really flexed in some Low Ink teams this past weekend. Really flexed on Saturday. Like a lot of brand new players just kind of popped off, which kind of led to a lot of speculation, naturally, understandably, of, wait a minute, who are these guys? Weren't you like Div 10 or something? You shouldn't be allowed to be getting as many wins as you did. Something weird is going on here. Again, you guys... putting on your tinfoil hats, like you have a right to do that. Like you guys have all the time in the world. I was a teenager once. I was bored. It's perfectly fine to just spend your Saturday night playing Nancy Drew to try to figure out who all these new players are. Like, go right ahead. It doesn't involve me and it doesn't bother me, so I'm just going to let you guys go about it. And I never comment on it because as soon as I tweet something, it draws more attention to it. I'm not at a point yet where I can like pro rata ratio everybody that I tweet, but it's not lost on me that if I comment on something, it draws more eyeballs to it. And I don't want to draw more eyeballs to things that don't need eyeballs drawn to it. Fair enough. It stops becoming fun in games when it becomes something that I have to get involved in. I will comment on this because I'm pretty sure a vast majority of you were aware of this issue. So Sunday morning, about 9 a.m. East Europe time. That's pretty vague. About 3 a.m. in the morning where I live, 4 separate people came to help desk asking if they could DM a TO because they found some suspicious information, which caused a lot of you to do the little eyeball emote. Whoa, somebody found some information. Is there a smurf going on here? Is there something nefarious going on in this lowing? I wake up about 10 in the morning. I got some pings. Hey, we formed a group chat. We need to look into some stuff. Oh my gosh, here we go. Let me just tell you guys. My Sundays are important to me. So what we do every single Sunday, my wife and I have been doing this probably since we've been married. So about 7-ish years now. Every single Sunday, we go out to breakfast together, and we know what place. We got a local breakfast place just right down the road. It's comforting to know that you just wake up and you know what you're going to do. You don't have to say, what restaurant do you want to go to? No, we both know on Sunday when we wake up, we're going to this place, then we're going to the grocery store, and we're just going to enjoy each other's company. I saw my parents do that recently. They go to McDonald's every Sunday. We're a little bit more bougie than that, I guess. So we go to a little bit of fancier places. And any new couples that get unsolicited advice from me, that is the advice I give them. Set aside one day a week to where you guys go to the same restaurant or like a collection of restaurants, and you just spend that time with just you two. In fact, my mom and dad, now that all of us are adults, all the kids are adults, I'm the youngest of 4, by the way, they don't allow us to go with them. They go by themselves. Like, hey, we're going to McDonald's. You guys can't come with us. It's just the us thing that we do. It's like, okay, cool. That makes sense. Set aside time. Now, I know that I'm TOing one of the largest tournament outside of Japan. So I understand that those Sundays get a little bit compromised to some extent. But if you guys are going to come at us with some evidence that somebody is cheating in a tournament, it better be good on a Sunday. So I'll admit I was a little cranky, went into the group chat. I posted the rules of the tournament, the eligibility rules of the tournament. And I said, do you have proof that somebody has broken one of these rules? Yes or no? And the answer they gave me was no. So the conclusion to 4 people coming to help desk at 3 in the morning to say that they found some evidence of somebody smurfing, to draw all the attention, to get everybody speculating. I'm sure everybody on your private accounts to your 2 Twitter followers were like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? They found somebody that's cheating. The answer to that was nothing. It was a big fat nothing. Nothing! Nothing! Oh my gosh, guys. If the only evidence, it wasn't just the people, I'm not trying to harp on the people who were just bringing it to help desk, because there are a lot of people on Twitter saying the same thing. It's kind of weird that this is going on. Weird is not against the rules of low ink or any tournament. You think, you know what I think is weird? I think it's weird that Burger King has a Whopper that does not have any meat in it at all. An Impossible Burger that doesn't have any meat in it? I find that kind of weird. You know what I don't do? I don't grab 3 other people and go to the Burger King help desk to say, hey, I found evidence that there might be some meat in your Impossible Burger. Can I get a DM from somebody? Like, if it's weird is all you guys got, just leave me out of it, please. Like, if you guys want to speculate on Twitter, go right ahead, but just leave us out of it. And I don't want this to become a boy who cried wolf scenario, because there has been times, multiple times, where people have DM'd me or JPEG or whoever and said, hey, we found evidence that this person was DSB Div 1, or this person is actually this person who's a Div 2 player on this team. Like, people have snitched before, and we do kind of rely on that. I'll be straight up honest. With 1,000 players, we're going to miss a couple. A couple are going to slide through. It's going to happen. But give us actual evidence. If you guys just get walloped by a carbon roller, I'm sorry. My response to you, get good. Learn the matchup. I've been playing against Carbon Rollers, Funky Eevee, Genesis, Lost. Those guys have been beating my ass for years now. You figure it out or just say it's weird on Twitter, I guess. I don't know. I'm going to get off my soapbox. I was kind of cranky. I just wanted to get that out. This is my venting time to you guys. Oh. Ironically, though, of the multiple teams that people are raising suspicions about, the one team I didn't see anybody say anything about was the brand new team who ended up going and winning the entire tournament, completely flying underneath the radar of everybody, To Be Determined. Somehow, this team of roughly newerish players went 6-0 on Swiss on Saturday, destroyed everybody on Sunday, going 12-0 per games leading up to Alpha Bracket semifinals. It just flew underneath the radar of everybody. Nobody raised a excuse me, To Be Determined seems kind of weird. Nobody said anything about that. But no, all the other team that people were complaining about didn't really show up to play on Sunday. Didn't really do that well at all. Instead, it was To Be Determined. The team we all should have been paying attention to. The team that we all should have been giving praise to at the end of Saturday. And maybe they wouldn't have snuck up on so many teams at the beginning of Sunday. Because by the time Photic Zone got to them, they were able to compete with them. And they looked they looked really perfect. But you look at the record that To Be Determined had leading up to that Photic Zone matchup, they were stomping everybody, and I was thinking like, oh, this might be a Rising Matrix situation. These guys looked really, really good until we saw them on stream, and they're like, oh, wait, no, these guys are perfect for low ink. They're right here. It reminds me, it kind of sucks that, and this is weird to say, it's kind of sucked that To Be Honest won this low ink. Mainly because we didn't get to see them long enough to recognize who they were. We didn't get to figure out who they were before they were already gone. It's kind of like Pursuit. Back in, I want to say August 2021 was when Pursuit won. And we haven't seen Pursuit win. We haven't seen Pursuit do anything since. In fact, I think they said like, oh, we're going to go on and play in all these tournaments and we're not going to disband. And I think they literally just disbanded like a month later. But we don't really know a whole lot about To Be Determined because we didn't get to see them long. We didn't get to like appreciate them as long as we appreciate something like Sanguine Seas because we got to see them 3 months, or Red Pacific because we're starting to see them about 4 months now, or Photic Zone because we know the story of what Photic Zone is leading up to this. To Be Determined, TBD, is already gone, and we just now met them. Now, if anybody wants me to give them an apology, because today is the day that I give out apologies, I'm not giving anything to Be Determined. To be honest, I'm not giving anything to Be Determined. How was I supposed to know they were going to be even an alpha bracket team? I was the one who personally verified those guys. I looked through them. I said, okay, they got some tournament experience. I think I recognized Bree from solo queue, but solo queue means nothing in competitive. So, yeah, let's put them in here. But of the 169 teams that started the tournament, there's nothing that indicated that these guys were going to stand out amongst all of them until it was already too late. So I don't think it's an apology that I need to give these guys. It's more of a, why would I have even talked about you to begin with? Now, obviously, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about them today, but I'm not giving To Be Determined an apology. I will, however, give an apology to this team who I do owe a massive apology to. Photic Zone. I'm sorry that I mentioned you guys in an honorable way in the honorable mention section when you guys ended up taking third place overall. Out of 168 teams, Photic Zone took third. They took bronze, and I listed them in as the honorable mention section. Now, I put them in the honorable mention section. I feel like that is fair, leaving them outside the top 10. As I said at the time, their roster was really, really good. The results that they racked up with that roster were not good. They were average, par. They were just there. They were just always there, but they didn't rise up to what their own hype was. They got like middle of the road results in Loic. I think they did make Alpha Bracket last time and maybe got like a win in Alpha Bracket, maybe 2. They're dead middle in their Ludi group. They're not going to make playoffs in Div 5. I think they got 1 win because Banana Basics dropped. And then lost to the other 2 teams that are moving on. So it's not like Photic Zone's bad. It's just they didn't have any results that made you think this was going to be the time that they popped off. And what happened? They popped off. And I'll be totally honest with you. I expected them to beat Lullaby. I didn't expect them to sweep, but I was not expecting us to be streaming Photic Zone again. I thought they were going to get knocked out immediately by Dried Out. And then when they got on against To Be Determined, I was like, okay, this is where we're going to find out how good To Be Determined is. And Photic Zone beat him in the first game and damn near could have knocked him out in that 5th game. And that was like, okay, I was wrong about Photic Zone. And hopefully this is who they really are. And this isn't just the magical Sunday moment that happened to them, and that we're going to see more of this caliber of Photic Zone going forward. But there you go. If there's one team I owe an apology to, it's them. I'm sorry. You'll be in the top 10 next month unless you're not. Everyone else, though, seemed like it was just right. And isn't it ironic that in the month where we've had the most Smurf complaints, failed Smurf complaints of all, that this was the month where we had one of the most competitive alpha brackets we've ever seen. And it sounds weird to say that, but you look at the bracket itself, which we'll do later today, and you're like, oh yeah, this was really competitive right at the top. By the way, this tournament, side note, this tournament lasted way longer than it should have on Sunday. I don't need to look at the feedback to know that. I'm sure people complained about it, but JPEG and I myself complained about it. It's an easy fix. We just only streamed 1 semifinals match instead of pausing the whole bracket to stream both of them. I like that we stream both of them because it gets to grand finals and you know who both teams are. Otherwise, we would have got to grand finals and we would have figured out who To Be Determined was right then and there, and they win their 4 games and they're gone completely. But on the flip side, 5.5 hours is not acceptable. It's flat out not acceptable. I'll say that. And I'm sure everybody else on staff would agree. So we'll try to fix that next time for sure. But part of the reason why it lasted so long is because every single match that Walkie and I commentated went to a game 5 or a game 7. They all went the distance because all those teams, when you got down to quarters and semifinals, were dead even with each other. You had 7 teams. I had like my top 10, but it turns out there were 7 teams that were capable of winning this tournament on Sunday. You had Pixelated, Revenge Tour, Red Pacific, Dried Out, June, Sanguine Seas, and wow, I even put TBH on this sheet here. To Be Determined. 7 of those teams were all dead even with each other, and any one of those 7 could have won it. You can't really say that about any other Loic. You could say going into it that there's 10-ish teams that can win it, but when you actually see them all play against each other on Sunday, the fact that we got 7 teams that were right competitive with each other proves that A, the verification worked out perfectly if we could create that kind of mess, and B, that To Be Determined's win was well earned that they had to survive through all of that. Either way, so here's the thing. With all these teams playing here, either all of them are cheating or they're all right with each other. Maybe they're all cheating. That could be the case. Also, I don't think I even listed Photic Zone in that list. Yeah, there's 8 teams. Pixelated, Photic Zone, Revenge Tour, Red Pacific, Dried Out June, Sanguine G's, and To Be Determined. Yeah, there's 8 teams that were right with each other that had a chance to win. I didn't even write down Photic Zone. They finished 3rd place. Winning this tournament came down to one thing, and one thing only. Who's the most clutch when it comes down to it? That's what makes this so exciting. Because you had so many game fives, and you can't practice a game five. You can't scrim for a game five. All you can do is just make sure that in practice, in your scrims, you're making the right plays, and you're VOD reviewing the plays you do wrong and implementing into your brain. If you get in that situation again, here's the adjustment you're going to make. Because when you get into those game fives and there's 400 people watching you on stream and you're being commentated by Dura and Matt, who are just making fun of your team name the whole time. I love those two guys. That was hilarious. It's just instincts at that point. You're not really thinking through those games. You're just kind of reacting. You're just doing whatever you naturally would do in those moments. And if you practice enough, your natural reaction is always going to be the right play, or more often than not, it's going to be the right play. And if you don't practice those scenarios enough, your natural reaction is just going to go to solo queue, and you're going to get run out of the map, which we saw some of those game fives and game sevens. Teams got ran out of the map because they weren't ready for that kind of clutch moment to go through there. But it's exciting. My goodness. I know the tournament lasted really long, but every single match was so exciting to watch. And that's what makes LoWing, that's one of the many things that makes LoWing so great, is that we can provide this opportunity for low-level teams to have those game fives, to have those game sevens with a massive audience watching them with something on the line. And the only prize at the end of it is you getting banned from that tournament. And you had players saying, my hands are shaking. I need a break. This is so intense. I can't believe we won that one. That makes me happy. That's what we're doing this for. That is somebody who enjoys competition. I loved what I saw yesterday on stream at LoWing. And we'll spend some time talking about all of that coming up. Congratulations to To Be Determined and to everybody else that played in this tournament. We had a lot of winners. 168 teams, not just the teams that made Alpha Bracket and won the tournament. We got a lot of people who really popped off in this tournament. We'll try to get to them. Before we get to that, though, it is now time for the weekly recap. Should help if I turn the page. SOS number 68 was one 68. Where did 68 come from? SOS number 96, that's what we're going here, was won by Smoothie, because the name of the tournament is Smoothie or somebody else, and Smoothie ended up winning this time over Cabid, who took second place, and Armageddon, who took third. Okay, look, I love Smoothie. I'm a big fan of Smoothie. There's no secret about that. I'll openly say I'm a big fan of Smoothie. Can somebody beat these guys? Can somebody sign up for these SOS Improving Ground tournaments and beat them? I'm tired of seeing them win all the time, because now we're starting to see these cringe Smoothie copy pastas on Twitter, and they're starting to get a little ahead of themselves. So can we get some other people to sign up and beat Smoothie in Smoothie or somebody else? Nightmare, where are you guys at? Does anybody from Nightmare listen to the Popcast? You guys dominate Smoothie every single time. Just sign up for one SOS and beat them, please. I'm going to start putting a bounty. If SOS wins another tournament, I'm going to put a bounty on their head. And anybody that beats them in a tournament is going to get some sort of like $20 or maybe an Impossible Whopper burger or something like that. I don't know. Hammerhead was won by the Flying Dutchman, who stayed up crazy late to win a Wednesday night NA tournament, being an EU team. Congratulations to them. Mako Bracket was won by Shadow Wizard Money Gang. And Lantern Bracket was won by Joe Flux. Squid Junction number 36 was won by Draconic. Basically a pickup team of Caden, Kiwi, Kai, and Bandit. Prelude took second place, and BET took third. It feels like every time I say the word BET or BETS, that team is finished third in every tournament they've probably signed up for. I still don't know who they are. This is the biggest Squid Junction to date with 43 teams, and I never have anything negative or bad to say about Squid Junction, so congratulations on lasting 36 tournaments here. What is Proving Grounds on? We're on 6, 7? We got some ways to go. We'll catch up there eventually. Starburst won the Rainmaker Cup number 7. This was a Rainmaker-only tournament in Japan, and Starburst being the first team, as they claim, since Splatoon 1 outside of Japan to win a Japan tournament. What is the implication of this? I don't really understand, because I saw Starburst being excited about it, as naturally they should be, but then I also saw some other people saying, like, well, all the good Japan teams didn't play in it, or it's like Rainmaker only, so like, I don't know the implications of this. I don't know if this is like means Starburst has closed the gap in Rainmaker or what. I don't know, but they won a tournament in Japan, so we'll at least state that, and we'll let you guys glean what you want out of that. I feel like winning a tournament is never a bad thing. Ludi, the final week of the regular season. I guess we got another week of playoffs yet to go here. 5 matches from the week that are notable. In Div 6, Overtime got a 5-4 win over Rolling Squids. In Div X, Potato got a 5-2 win over Pingwin. Div 5, Neon Palm Tree got a 5-3 win over Mylag Paradise. That is notable because that match was played 5 minutes before Top 32 started on Sunday, and Neon Palm Tree was able to win that. Div 3, the Night Fairs got a 5-3 win over Triggerfish Zone's Supremacy. Triggerfish Zones isn't even a thing in this game anymore. In the final matchup here, Div 1, Micklin Heroes got a 5-4 win over Cherry Limeade, which guaranteed the spot for Micklin Heroes in the Div 1 playoffs. Cherry Limeade packing their bags. They're done for the year. That was a match commentated by myself and K-Bot on the Falco Flyer Network, channel number 1. In the NFL, the NFC Championship game has been decided. It's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers beat the Cowboys because the Cowboys suck in the playoffs. The Eagles beat the Giants because the Giants suck in general. In the AFC Championship, the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs beat Jaguars, but Patrick Mahomes got a little bit injured, high ankle sprain in that one. The Buffalo Bills forgot they were the Buffalo Bills and lost at home. Oops! Weren't supposed to do that. There's always next year where they can lose again. And that was your weekly recap. Sponsored by the J-Mook Fan Club, which I am the official president of the J-Mook Fan Club. J-Mook being a player who we all found out about last Genesis. And then this upcoming Genesis yesterday, they won the entire kit and caboodle. It happened as I was commentating the Cherry Limeade Micklin Heroes set. I thought there'd still be time. As soon as that set ended, I turned and saw J-Mook jumping off the stage. And I was like, damn it, I missed it. But we like J-Mook around here, unless you guys have some sort of information that like J-Mook punches puppies or something like that. So the J-Mook Fan Club is the official sponsor of this week's episode of the Weekly Recap. You can't out-juke the mook? Is that a real saying? It's fair enough. H to you as well, Flink King. Welcome in. Let's go through the... Whoa. First off, I misspelled weekly. And I didn't even move the arrow the second time around. It's obvious he's not putting effort into the podcast anymore. I'll have a feedback channel up soon. Unless I don't, for you guys to kind of give feedback on that kind of stuff. Let's go through the winners. Starting off with Saturday. We got a lot of winners here on the stage. And I initially had more winners, and then I realized they got a lot of their wins because of buys and drops. And I was like, oh, that's cringe. So let's delete that. Winners from the Swiss stage. First off, only 2 teams went undefeated. And out of 4 Swiss groups, 2 teams went undefeated. That's it. And it was kind of weird that we just had only 2, if not 3, or at least 3, if not 4. But 2 groups had nobody go undefeated. That was kind of weird. Something crazy is going on there. But Dried Out was one of the teams that went undefeated. Went 6-0, getting key wins against Dive, the Internal Revenue Service of IRS, Low Life, Revenge Tour, Arise, and Spirit Inc. Dried Out did way better than what I was expecting them to do, and believe made top 8 of Alpha Bracket. I think they actually took Photic Zone to a Game 5 with that one, so Dried Out, nicely done. The Beautiful Blossoms. What a lovely name. They went 5-1, getting some key wins against Spirit Inc., Octopi, Counter Style, and the Splat-A-Lot Imbeciles, or the Splat-A-Lot Idiots, as Matt referred to them as. The Splat-A-Lot Nincompoops. This, as far as I can tell, Beautiful Blossoms is a newerish team of players that have been experienced in Low Inc. before. They qualified for top 32, but they dropped before Sunday, and we forgot to put IRS in their spot, and so we had to fix some things. But Beautiful Blossoms still did good on Saturday regardless. Speaking of the Imbeciles, they went 5-1 on Saturday as well, getting key wins against Vicious Heroism, Michigan State University Splatoon, Arise, and Fanta Manta. Even more impressive, the Imbeciles did it with like half their roster because they keep getting subs they had to go through all the way to this tournament. Saturday and Sunday, we were constantly just injecting new players into their roster for them. So they still found ways to get some wins there. The best Low Inc. they've had in a long time. Can't take that away from them. Vicious Heroism went 4-2 in this tournament, getting some key wins against Combo, Monolith, Z-Lite, and Crab. This is a team that made Gamma Bracket last time they played in Low Inc., going 4-2 this time around. Nicely done, Vicious Heroism. The IRS went 4-2 in this tournament, getting key wins over Ouroboros. No, not the Ouroboros that finished second in the last Proving Grounds. This is a different Ouroboros team that the IRS beat. Husky, Splatville Knights, and Arise. The Internal Revenue Service went 3-3 in November when they played in Low Inc. There was no Epsilon bracket then, but by their placement, they wouldn't even have made an Epsilon bracket then. Thanks to Beautiful Blossoms dropping out, the IRS made top 32. Quite a glow up. Michigan State University Splatoon went 3-3, getting key wins against New Game Plus, Tachaktas, and Counter Style. It's been a while since we've seen Sparty play in a Low Inc. or any tournament whatsoever. Maybe it's because now they got back into the semesters, maybe started back up again. When I was in college, the spring semester didn't start till like the last week of January because we had that J term, like a winter term. But MSU is back. I went 3-3 this time around, and maybe since there's not a CCA going on, or is there a CCA going on this semester, they have more time to play in Low Inc. Good to see them back. The Flying Octos went 5-1, getting key wins against Marine Melody, June, No Title, Squid Sushi, and Bitterling. Full disclosure, Flying Octos and Bitterling was on stream. I did not watch a second of that, so I don't know how good that was or not. I just put it on stream, and I had to run and do something else. I think there was something in Help Desk I had to pay attention to, and by the time I got back, it was over. But I can see Flying Octos won. This seems to be a newerish team of Low Inc. veteran players. We'll see what they do going forward. At least this past month, they got 5-1. Overtime. I see you guys going 4-2, getting key wins over Cake, Prismatic Inc., Free Fall, and Inkling Daycare. Inkling Daycare, a fan favorite for those that were demanding that they be put on stream, so we did. And maybe we'll find a way to get them on stream in a March tournament or later. They got 4th place in Gamma. Last time we saw overtime. This time they went 4-2, though a little bit better than the 3-3 result I believe they got last time they made Gamma in November. Cake, in parentheses, went 3-3, getting some key wins over the Reef Rangers, Tentacoolers, and Astra. This is a LSL team. Cake has been around a long time. I still don't think we figured out why why their name is in parentheses. If it's supposed to be like pronounced a different way because of that, I have no idea. But we like Cake around here. There's a card game that you pull. I forget the name of the card game. It's some stupid card game, but there's like you pull a card and you read it out loud, and there's an option for like, do you want cake or do you want death? And like depending on what your answer is, you're either eliminated from the game or you're not. So you always just, I'd rather have cake than die. Maybe that's what they're going with here with the parentheses. It's cake, but do you really want to eat it? Do you? Sure, I'll eat it. Squid Strikes. Hey, I see you guys. I've been keeping an eye on them ever since I saw them win silver bracket of LSL this month, I guess you say. They went 4-2 this time around, getting key wins over the Respawn. I wish I could read my own handwriting sometimes. I don't know what that is. They got to win over the Respawn team, Coastal, Coral Surge, Free Fall, and Marine Melody. So Squid Strikes is the team that almost beat Wave Break in the group stage of Little Squid League. They didn't, so they fell down the silver bracket and they whipped everybody in silver bracket. And I was like, I wonder how good these guys actually are, because that's not what we see silver bracket teams do in Little Squid League typically. And they went on to go 4-2, I believe made Gamma Bracket. Yes, they did make Gamma Bracket. So we'll talk about them a little bit later. But nicely done, Squid Strikes. You backed up what I thought you would do. Distinct went 4-2, getting key wins over Ink Vaders, Ink Black, and the Aquatic Vanguard. One of the reasons why Aquatic Vanguard was not in top 32, you can blame Distinct for that, who was in Gamma Bracket before, and I believe they made top 32 with that record they got right there. Wallaby went 5-1, getting key wins over Distinct, Rolling Squids, Polyamorous Gamership, the Neon Palm Trees, and Tacta Rulers. Nicely done, Lullaby. The last time we saw them, they were in beta bracket. This time around, they made top 32 and advanced out of that to alpha bracket. Lullaby with a little bit of a glow up there. The Moon Stars, one of our many Moon teams that popped off this weekend, going 4-2, getting some key wins over Rolling Squids, Splatalot B, who thought it was a best of 2 instead of a best of 3 or something like that. I don't know. They left after 2 games, but still a win by Moonstars. And Non-Binary Fuss, the Moonstars going 4-2. They got Gamma back in December. Went 4-2 this time around. Sunrise, another team worthy of mention, is a team that went 5-1, getting key wins over Team Biscuits, Black Komodo, the Glitter Gel Pins, Spark, and Squid Club. Sunrise went 5-1. This is their first time playing at Lomik. I know they played in Ludi. I didn't look up what div that they're in, but I would assume they're doing pretty good if they're not in Div 5. The biggest winner from Saturday, and by far the biggest glow up, not the biggest glow up we've ever seen, but a glow up so big everybody thought they were cheating. But congratulations to Alliance Moon, who went 5-1, finishing the number 1 team in their group because their opponent win percentage was 75%. They got key wins over Lullaby, Night Logic, Red Pacific, Surf and Turf, and Spectra. Alliance Moon, as many people pointed out, not really doing good in Div 10, but they picked up a new player recently who seems to be more than anybody can handle with their carbon rollers. So nicely done to Alliance Moon. And I think they really popped off in beta bracket, so we'll talk about them a little bit later. Nobody had a higher opponent win percentage across the entire tournament this time than 75. That's a really high number. Most of the time, it's like the low 70s that somebody has the high. It's like a 72. But 75, that's a... Battle 5 has to really hate you to give you a 75 opponent win percentage. And they got 5 wins off of that. The team that did beat them in Swiss stage was Neon Palm Tree. Let's take a look at some brackets. There's too many stinking brackets to look at now. Why'd you idiots let Loink become so big? So this is, what you were looking at here is history. This is Epsilon bracket. We've never had an Epsilon bracket before. I'm willing to bet that this will be the only Epsilon bracket we have all year. You can clip it if you want and come back to it, but I'm willing to bet we won't have another Epsilon bracket. For an Epsilon bracket to exist, we have to end Saturday with 160 teams still intact. And we ended Saturday with exactly 160 teams. That way, 80 teams moved on to day 2. Ending with 160 is difficult. We didn't do that back in October. We had more sign-ups, but we had more people drop during the course of the tournament or kicked out because of splash tags or whatever. So I would assume we're not going to see another Epsilon bracket for a long time. I stand to be pleasantly surprised, but here we are. Teams I want to mention in this Epsilon bracket. First off, Rolling Squid playing in this bracket. And this isn't just some like throwaway bracket. Like these are all traditional like beta level teams. Like Outcast Ninjas, the team that won this whole one, they've won a beta bracket before. So it's not like this Epsilon bracket is like anything. These are bad teams. That couldn't be further from the truth. These are really good teams. Rolling Squids, after losing to Marine Melody getting revenge on them because Rolling Squids beat Marine Melody on stream last Lowing, now got the revenge on them, beating them 2-1. A little bit of a rivalry forming between these two teams. You love to see it. Rolling Squids beat Crab. They beat the Husky Splatville Knights, beat Ikaruku. And then got revenge on Marine Melody again before getting knocked out in round 5. So Rolling Squids made the losers bracket run here. And yeah, this is a nice little matchup. This is a key matchup here between these two teams, Marine Melody and Rolling Squids. And they got to play each other twice. That's not by design. We didn't seed for that to happen. I literally just now seeing that. Arise did pretty well here as well. They were the number 1 seed. Not that that really means anything in these lower brackets. Getting a win against Ikaruku before losing to Outcast Ninjas and going on a little bit of a loser's run themselves all the way to 3rd place. Get out of here, Cake. Get out of here, Ink Invaders, Origami Dragons, Rolling Squids, and before Oofish got them. Arise made beta bracket the last time that we saw them in Low Ink, but this is a little bit of a better run through Sunday in general that I think they had when they made beta bracket. The Origami Dragons is the last team we want to look at here, and you guys might not remember this, but when Origami Dragons was the Bamboo Dragons, they used to play Oofish all the time in Little Squid League. And so this is probably the first time they've played against each other in about 6 months or so. But if I recall, I don't think Origami Dragons has ever beaten Oofish. This is another little interesting rivalry they've had against each other. And Oofish here eking out Game 5 yet again to frustrate the Bamboo Origami Dragons. But still, it doesn't negate a good run by Origami Dragons because they beat Ink Invaders. That's a really quality win. And getting another win over the Husky Splatville Knights before just getting eliminated altogether. But still a good run here. I just wanted to point out this matchup in general between Oofish because it always interests me when these two teams play, and it's been a while since they did that. For the teams that made grand finals of this one, and Oofish made it interesting, this is the best result. I feel like I've said this about 3 tournaments in a row now, but Oofish finally has some good results racked up. And again, they play way better in Low Ink than they ever do in Little Squid League. And I think there is just that mindset of there are no expectations in Low Ink for them, where there's all the expectations in the world for them in Little Squid League. And I think that pressure weighs on them there, and it doesn't weigh on them here. I don't know if there's any truth to that or not, but just the results that they get would suggest something like that, finishing 2nd place here. But Outcast Ninjas, as I mentioned before, they won beta bracket, but Outcast Ninjas, as you usually win beta bracket, you usually propel way up. The thing with Outcast Ninjas is they'll win a beta bracket, and then they'll just kind of stop playing for a few months. I think last time that happened, they said a lot of their players have to work on the weekends, and it's just the stars align. They have enough players off to where they can play. Outcast Ninja's been around for almost 4 or 5 years at this point. Good to see them come back and take care of business here, and Ufish gave them all that they could handle over the course of I guess per games here, Ufish won 6 and Outcast Ninjas won 6. So they went 6-6 against each other. It's just Outcast Ninjas were able to win more when it mattered most. So there's your Epsilon bracket. Don't get too attached. You may never see it again. Delta bracket. We're getting used to seeing these kinds of things. The teams I want to mention here. How about a shout out to Black Komodo, who ended up beating Michigan State, knocking off Sparty before Coco Rave. 2 exclamation points. Coco Rave. Why do we got to have so much emphasis in people's names? I don't know. But Black Komodo, after losing in winners round 2, went on a bit of a run here. Arctic Blitz, which is a hard team to search for because their very first letter is not a real letter on the keyboard. And they got a couple letters in Blitz that are not real letters either. So you just got to search for Ritic or Lit. So, nice fancy names here. Getting on tangent. Black Komodo beat them. They beat Benthic Brigade, and before losing to Orca Fist. So Black Komodo, I had them in my honorable mentions. This is Delta bracket. This is a strong Delta bracket, mind you. Yes, Black Komodo is still a really good team, but and this is a good Sunday for them. I feel like this is a good Sunday placement for them, but they're definitely still a capable top 32 team if they can find ways to play a little bit better on Saturday. Wave Break. This is the team we've been keeping an eye on because these are the reigning LSL champions. They qualified for Delta bracket and did not disappoint here, beating 6-star wanted level Refresh Coco Rave before giving the Night Sharks all they could handle in winners finals, taking them to a game 5, and then Combo ultimately knocking them out. This is a good result for Waybreak, and I'm glad that the LSL champion is going on to not just automatically make Alpha bracket and threaten to win that. The fact that you can win Little Squid League and be really good in Delta bracket, I think, is right where the skill gap should be. And Waybreak did not disappoint here with their result in this Delta bracket. The other team I want to mention here, Orca Fist, played really well as well. Benthic Brigade, Spirit Inc., they were able to beat Night Sharks. Man, Night Sharks really had to grind their way through this tournament. Orca Fist taking them to a game 5 before losing, beating Black Komodo, and then taking Combo to a game 3 in the losers best of 3. What can I really say about Orca Fist? They made beta bracket last time they played in Low Inc., which raises the question again. Would you rather make a higher bracket and get eliminated early, or would you make a lower bracket and be more competitive? I feel like this is probably a more fun Sunday for Orca Fist, getting 4th place in beta, or in Delta. Not too shabby. So that leaves us with Combo and Night Sharks. Night Sharks able to avoid a bracket reset and just end the tournament right here and there. Combo being a team that has played in SAC qualifier number 1. We'll see if they play all the way through the SAC season. They'll get a little bit better. If they do that, they'll be more polished. They'll be a better Low Inc team if they grind out SAC against some tougher teams. They'll figure out some ways to get past some of these other teams that were giving them issues here as well. Night Sharks being the only team that beat them, by the way. They beat everybody else. Mylag Paradise, Michigan State, Spirit Inc., Coco Rave, Orca Fish, and Waybreak. But the Night Sharks, they were a team in my top 10. That might have been a little premature putting them in the top 10 considering they hadn't really gotten super crazy strong results. But you just felt like this was the best college team right now when Purdue doesn't play with Seafoam Berry. Just the Night Sharks in general winning this bracket doesn't surprise me. If you look at the teams that are here, you would assume Night Sharks would be the favorite to win it. Again, the seeds don't really matter in these lower brackets at all. And Night Sharks able to go through here. And it wasn't easy. Orca Fist took them to game 5. Waybreak took them to a game 5. So I feel really good about Night Sharks going forward. They might not be in my top 10, but you can't sneeze at winning a Delta bracket. A stacked Delta bracket like this one here. So nicely done to them. And by the way, Night Sharks, you guys didn't win the football national championship like 3 years ago. You guys just made that up. That's the most cringe thing ever. You should go to your president and have him take that down. And hang up your Delta bracket trophy in its place. How about that? Gamma bracket. Man, we had to really talk a lot just to get the Gamma bracket. This tournament's way too big. The teams we're going to talk about here is Polyamorous Gamership. Made Alpha Bracket last month. Fell down here to Gamma Bracket. Not too bad, though. They got a couple of wins before eliminated in losers round 5 to Banana Split. Did I see Polyamorous Gamership tweet something about a couple of their players are leaving and they're going to be recruiting or something like that? So I don't know what to expect from this team going forward. Sometimes roster changeover can really propel you. Like we saw with Alliance Moon. Sometimes it can stagnate you a little bit. Depends on who they get. But at least the roster they brought out here was able to do a lot of damage on Sunday, which is good for them. Miro, who finished... Where's Miro? After getting eliminated in round 1 of winners, went on the losers run in this tournament. Free Fall, Day Old Sashimi, which did have some Day Old Sushi members on it. Now, I looked a little bit more at them. And beat the Tender Strip Cocktail team. This is a solid win. Tender Strip Cocktail was that team that went 6-0 in Swiss last month before getting knocked out of Alpha Bracket rather early. So Miro had a good little run here against some quality teams that they were able to rack up wins against. But last, and certainly not least, before we get to these final 2 teams, Banana Split went on an even more impressive losers bracket run here after getting knocked out early by Day Old Sashimi. Galaxy Squids, get out of here. Victorious Divine, you're gone. Overtime 2-1. Ola 2-1. Polyamorous Gamerships 2-0. Before taking Team Biscuits to a Game 5. So now that Banana Basics, I don't know what's up with Banana Basics. Are they still a thing? I know they dropped from Ludi. Are they going to come back, or is their players just going to shift around or something? Is Banana Split the best banana-themed team that we have in the game right now? Before it was Banana Basics, hand down. But we saw Banana Split make Beta Bracket last time, and they got all the way to 3rd place in Gamma this time around. Banana Split might be our best banana team that we got. What do you say about that, Banana Basics? Where are you at? Now, biscuits are obviously better than bananas, even though this Team Biscuits is about cookies. Those are cookies, not actual biscuits, but so be it. They were able to take Aquatic Vanguard to a bracket reset before Aquatic Vanguard said, oh yeah, we are a team that could win this whole tournament. We almost won this whole tournament several months ago. We're just going to 3-0 you guys and move on here. So Team Biscuits, this is, again, another Alpha Bracket caliber team. Just didn't have a good Saturday, but followed up with a good Sunday here. This is a good result for them, getting 2nd place in Gamma. The best Sunday they've ever had. But they're definitely a team that's hoping to get top 32, as is Aquatic Vanguard for sure. Aquatic Vanguard, they've won Beta Bracket before. But what I like about Aquatic Vanguard is they recognize, even though they've won Beta Bracket, going back down here and grinding through this Gamma Bracket is just as important as winning that Beta Bracket several months ago. This one arguably could have been more difficult for them to win than the last time. There's the same quality of teams. They've had to play Tender Strip Counter Styles good. Tender Strip Cocktails obviously really good, and beat Team Biscuits twice. This is a tough bracket that they had to go through. And yes, the Gamma Bracket trophy is smaller than the Beta Bracket trophy. Anybody who's won a tournament and we ship you the trophies out, you know what we're talking about. And also don't tell anybody, you know those trophies are a secret. But I'm still glad that they were excited about winning this bracket. But man, I just want them to win the damn tournament and get it over with at this point. It's so, like, it's just all over the place what they do on Saturday. And it's so unpredictable. At least they're consistent on Sunday now. You could say that. They've been consistently consistent on Sunday. Just one bad Saturday is hard for anybody to be all the way through with. Beta Bracket, we don't have time to look at top 32. These are the teams that didn't get all the wins necessary for top 32. I will say this, though. I think this is the first time in the top 32 format where we didn't see a team drop when they made Beta Bracket. All these teams actually played. To my knowledge, all these teams actually played. And that's great. It didn't seem like these games were crazy competitive across the board, at least in round 1, except for this match down here, Low Life getting Despair 3-2. But to my knowledge, these teams actually played, and that should mean something. Spectra's the team that finished in 3rd place here. getting a couple of sweeps before running into KO Calamari, who seemed to have played a little bit pissed off this whole time through. But Spectra able to knock it all the way out in third place match. Does anyone know? We forget to tell you guys. You can go back and counterpick maps you previously won. It didn't matter in these two because only one team. The counterpick rules that are different in best of 7 didn't apply here because these two were just too uncompetitive for that to apply. But Spectra was the alpha bracket last time they played in October. Now they're getting third place in a more competitive beta bracket. Nicely done. The team that finished in second place, Alliance Moon. This was the team I give credit for the best winning. Now, yes, they got a really good carbon roller on their roster, and that seems to have elevated the rest of their team. So that does happen. When Destiny Troops added Zonink, all of a sudden, all of those other players became a lot better because we got a monster on our team all of a sudden. It helps elevate everybody up to the next level. The problem with Alliance Moon is they got rocked in top 32. I think they went 0-6 per games in top 32, and they turned up the gas here, getting second place. But the reason they didn't win this is because KO Calamari, my goodness, they just ripped people apart. 3-0 Neon Palm Tree. Sunrise gave them issues. Sunrise is a solid team. And then 3-0 Spectra and 4-0 Alliance Moon. KO Calamari saying, we don't really have issues with your carbon player. We're just going to take care of business right here. Somebody forgot to tell KO Calamari to look at Twitter because they didn't really care. They just took care of business. Nicely done winning beta bracket there. And I said I don't think I give KO Calamari enough credit. When you win beta bracket like this in the fashion that they did, it's hard not to say, wow, that there's something to that there. Reminds you when June won beta bracket last month, how dominant they did it. Alpha bracket. The teams I want to talk about here, and there's so many teams. First off, it's weird how the bracket works out. And we got some feedback last time about how we can transition from groups into alpha bracket to where I believe it was TNT who pointed out all the teams that go undefeated end up in the top half of the bracket instead of just dividing out. So we were able to make that adjustment. That's like one of the few times we got feedback that was like, oh, that actually makes sense. So we did implement that. Like the group B best teams ended up down here. It was just divided out more evenly based off of like where you actually finished on Saturday. What's just weird about the seeding is all the teams you would actually know that the casual low ink fan would actually know are down here at the bottom, like Red Pacific, Alliance of the Damned, Sanguine Seas, the Imbeciles, Revenge Toward, Pixelated, June. They're all down here at the bracket. And up top here, you know who Surf and Turf is. You should know who Photic Zone is. You might have heard of Lullaby, but you probably, unless you know who Dried Out is, this team I can't pronounce, the Final Reckoning, you probably didn't know who they were. So you knew you were going to get it, unless Photic Zone beat everybody, you knew you were going to get grand finals of a name brand team versus a newer-ish team, and that's ultimately what we ended up getting right here. But you did get some great matches down here at the bottom side of the things. Pixelated was up 2-0 in Revenge Tour, and then I saw Pixelated asking for an emergency sub, so I don't know if they actually played this one, these last three, if they did like a 3v4, or Pixelated was just like, here, you got to take it because we're not going to get a sub, so we can't really play forward. But Pixelated was up 2-0, and Revenge Tour looked like they were dead to rights right here. But they did, I guess, they just got a homie stock, and they took advantage of it. Sanguine Seas and Red Pacific, again, Red Pacific looked really good. These two teams looked right with each other throughout the course of that set. Red Pacific looked like they were coming back. The problem is that Game 5, we talked about dealing with that pressure, the clutchness, who's more clutch in those Game 5. Red Pacific clearly looked lost in that Game 5. They kept grabbing the Rainmaker and just did not know what to do with it until one point Gus said, to hell with this, give me the Rainmaker, I'm going to go get us some points. But just one push in 5 minutes just wasn't getting the job done. Sanguine Seas just handled the pressure better than that. But that's a great set to go through there. Revenge Tour, yeah, I don't really feel bad for them, but you know they only cared about winning this tournament. Their name is built around the fact that they had to drop in winners finals and they want to get revenge and win the whole tournament. And they to their credit, they played a team that was capable of winning it, and they just didn't get it done in Game 5 there either. Yes, they did drop out of the third place match. Again, I don't condone dropping from a third place match or at any point, but I also don't condemn them for it either. Teams not playing the third place match is pretty typical. I would say 50% of third place matches actually end up playing, but it just kind of further highlights the point. For them, it was win the tournament or bust, and I wonder if the pressure of win the tournament or bust is what didn't allow them to escape Game 5 against Sanguine Seas, who survived back-to-back clutch matches to get the things done there. Photic Zone, I already said I apologize to them, but this is why I apologize. They swept Lavai on stream. They survived Dried Out. Dried Out looked like they were a really strong team across both days. I know I didn't really talk about them much because I don't really know much about them. But they play again next month. They'll probably be a top 10 team. But just looking back at the results that they racked up here. But Photic Zone was able to beat them in a Game 3. Again, to be determined up to this point was undefeated per games. And I legit thought, oh, this is going to be a curb stomp. Photic Zone can't really hang with these guys, even though I don't know who these guys are. Photic Zone was able to win Game 1. And then To Be Determined was able to beat them on their counter pick. And then like, oh, we can just counter pick carbon maps and just find ways to win there. But again, it just came down to a Game 5, Inkblot Art Academy. And To Be Determined played a little bit more comfortable. Photic Zone looked like they were playing trying to just stay in the game, trying not to lose, whereas To Be Determined seemed like they were making more plays to win. They were making more coordinate. How they closed out the game was sending two people to flank the basket, and if you overcommit to stopping one of them, the other one was just going to roll in, throw in one clam, and end the basket in game right there, and they just didn't stop the first player who came in. So To Be Determined just looked more comfortable in that Game 5 than Photic Zone did. That was probably the difference in the set. For this set right here, honestly, I think fatigue is what ultimately did in Sanguine Seas. I mean, you had so many matches in this one that were just total blowouts. You had a couple of them that were competitive, but when you finally got to that Game 7, Tower Control at Shipyard, Sanguine Seas looked like they were done. They looked like they were absolutely out. It looked like the stress of back-to-back Game 5s against Red Pacific, against Revenge Tour, looked like they just finally collapsed because To Be Determined just put on a 4-minute ass-whooping against them, which isn't indicative to how good Sanguine Seas was playing all the way up to that point. I just think a combination of the tournament lasting longer than it probably should have, them being Europe later in the day, even though they had the break before, they got to watch To Be Determined going into that one. The best of 7 would be my guess as to what did them in that Game 7, because they just didn't look like themselves, and that's tournament fatigue setting in. But again, that's credit to Be Determined. They were dealing with the same kind of stress. It might be a different time of day for them. If they're an NA team, they got a little bit of advantage in that situation. They also got to make the counter pick, which is a huge advantage. But for Sanguine Seas, you got to feel good about how they played all the way through here. Yes, they didn't win the tournament, but you still are going to look back on this and say this is a great run that they had, and you feel good for them. But you're going to feel a little bit better than To Be Determined because they actually found a way to win. And yet again, we've had 3 of these tournaments play out. All 3 of them have been a Game 7 in these best of 7s. No matter how many teams we have sign up for Low Ink, we always have competitive sets at the very end, and that's always exciting to see. It's not by design, unless it is. For going forward, for To Be Determined, there's 2 things we need from To Be Determined. First off, we need a better team name. If you truly are To Be Determined, let's come up with a better team name. Could we do that right now? I don't know. I think the Impossible Whopper Fan Club might be a decent team name for them, honestly. It's better than To Be Determined. But we need to get these guys an actual team name. We need to make these guys an actual team. If this is just a pickup, screw that. You just won Low Ink. You need to become an actual team. It's a thing. You guys are destined to do this. Start playing in SAC. You guys are great. Don't just make this a one-off thing. Don't just be Pursuit. Don't tweet out, yeah, we're going to stay together forever, and then they disband a month later. No! Go all the way through. Play in SAC. I know it's the second week of SAC and you're not going to get enough points to make top cut, but you could still kind of flex your muscle a little bit. Go off, do the little victory tour. You're going to have people, when I won low ink, I had people DMing me, hey, congratulations on winning. You want to scrim now? Like, everybody's going to be gunning for you. Go out, sign some books, sign some autographs, do some tours or something, play in some tournaments. Have people say, hey, I saw you playing low ink, and then they'll beat you and they'll be like, GG's, that was great. Congrats on winning low ink. Like, just enjoy the moments. Actually playing some tournaments, but come up with a better team name than TBD. Come on. That's what I hope. And by the way, Ekria, who's in chat, I'm calling you out personally because you admitted that your IGN is a word you made up. So that everybody in chat that was making fun of me for not knowing how to pronounce that word, I have proof that that is not an actual word. Don't at me. You guys can't make up words and then sit here and tell me how I don't pronounce the words you guys made up correctly. So there you go. How about that? Who's Dano? That's another example. Quit calling me Dano. That's not a real word. How am I supposed to say that thing? If you'd like to be a part of the Popcast in any way, feel free to reach out. My socials below: Twitter, Mr._Popgun, Discord, Popgun, hashtag 5882, YouTube at 25Popgun, Twitch at Popgun25, Anchor.fm/Popgun. Who are we going to raid? Splatoon 3. Do we read Keo? We can read Keo. Can I type out all these letters? Make sure you guys get vaccinated, stay safe, register for Low Tide City. I want to see all of you at Low Tide City in May. Make sure all of you are going to be there. You got to get vaccinated to go, though.